Welcome to Podular Modcast. This week's guest is Jonathan Snipes from the band Clipping. This is Jonathan's second time on the show, and we have an excellent conversation that covers all sorts of topics as usual. Clipping's latest album, Dead Channel Sky, is now available to stream or purchase wherever you do those things. Link in the show description. This week's episode is brought to you by Novation. I'm really digging the circuit tracks, especially paired with the Launchkey 49 Mark IV. Links to more information about those two devices in the show description, and later on in the episode we'll take a quick break to check out how I like to use them. Thank you to everybody who supports Podular Modcast on Patreon. If you would like to keep the LEDs blinking over here, head on over to patreon.com/Podular Modcast. Let's get into this episode.
Yeah, I've just been spending a bunch of money and energy. This is a new studio. I've moved since we talked last time, and we moved at the beginning of the year. And this is a new studio that I've been setting up since like March. And I just spent way too much money on a balanced power conditioner trying to like get a handle on some of the noise in the power here. The power is very noisy.
Yeah.
And
so
I'm annoyed.
All right, so how many outlets are you using within the studio within your like system?
Well, it's complicated.
Okay.
There's a sub panel in this room.
I was just going to ask about if you had a sub panel and making sure that everything is on the same ground.
So that's so it is to a certain degree. What I did, we installed a new breaker in this. The power stuff is sort of in that corner in the closet there, and the sub panel's on the other side of that little wall.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, there was no outlet in the closet, but I knew I wanted to put like my sort of main power stuff in there because it's a little noisy, like the battery backup has a fan and stuff. Like it's a little bit noisy, but if it's back there and behind a curtain, it's fine. So I was like, oh, we can just pull the Romex that's going to all of the wall outlets and tie that to an inlet in the closet, and then put a new outlet in the closet that's going to the original breaker and the breaker in the sub panel. Then I can take my like fancy power conditioning stuff and just like plug that into the inlet to drive all the outlets in the room.
Yeah.
Which is a nice idea, except that there's some grounding problem or something. There's just a ton of noise in the system that I've never had before. And it changes day to day, hour to hour. So it really feels like it's the neighborhood to me. So I spent a bunch of money on this balanced power box, a Furman balanced power box. And it has basically fixed it.
Okay, cool. Something else to consider. I don't know, like, so you pulled the Romex from all of those outlets. A lot of times outlets will have other outlets on the other side of the wall also. Like, did you make sure there was nothing else like tied into that circuit?
So there are a couple of like extra outlets that I would prefer not to have on there. I don't know. I have some more sniffing to do. Definitely.
I wish I could come over there and pop off because like I teach at an electrician's apprenticeship.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah.
And I teach an audio class, and the biggest that's a test question. Like what's the most common source of unwanted noise in an audio system, and it's ground loops, and ground loops are weird. But I always use the example of, say you're doing band practice in your garage. You have a sub panel in the garage, and you have all but one of the outlets you need. So you run an extension cord from your house to the garage. And once you plug that stuff in, what's going on?
No, I'm at least all on the same circuit for sure. And from this sub panel.
I'm just saying, make sure there's not something else on that, like outside of the studio because that could also be why it's maybe changing. If there's something that's plugged into that's also cycling or not cycling. These are just some troubleshooting ideas.
There are two extra outlets on this circuit. I don't know if this is all going on your podcast. It's not super fascinating, but
I mean, I'm a nerd about this kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. There are 2 extra outlets that are not in this room on that breaker. And one of them I've completely disconnected, and the other one runs the bidet in the bathroom. So it feels fairly essential.
That could be your culprit.
I've definitely pulled the bidet off of it, to see. But what I want to do someday when I have some time and maybe another person, is just like one by one disconnect out, like turn off the loop, disconnect outlets, turn on the loop, just really, because I haven't like pulled all the covers off all the outlets in this room. Right? So I don't, who knows what's actually happening. It's a 100-year-old house. There's conduit, some of the places, Romex, some of the a lot of things have happened here.
Like old on top of new. You might have some old knob and tube stuff that's like not connected, but just still like up.
There's tons of like cloth wiring just in the ceiling, just lying around and stuff. No, it's awesome. Anyway, I mean, the balance power thing, like, there's so much snake oil in that shit,
Totally, yeah. And just the whole balanced thing too is like people say they're sold as this is a balanced cable, and I think a lot of people just think like, okay, if I use 2 balanced cables, I have noise canceling. It's like
what? I didn't really know anything about balanced power, right? It's kind of crazy that instead
balanced power. Okay, I was thinking just for balanced audio. Yeah. Same thing.
Like, sort of. They take the 120 volts and they split it into to 2 60-volt signals that are polarity inverted and run them on the hot and the neutral. And so they sum and you get your 120 volts, but they also phase cancel. So in theory, none of that 60 cycle bleeds into anything.
Right.
And I mean, it's kind of stunning. It really works. And honestly, like all the shit that I read on the internet about balanced power feels so fraudulent. It's like, it really crosses into audiophile snake oil stuff.
Totally. Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh my God, the sound from the computer just came to life when I plugged in my Equitech, $10,000 Equitech box. And it's like, you spent $10,000 on a box that you really need to sound good. Is what it feels like to me. I swear it's not, I'm not imagining it. I think everything in the studio sounds better. Like every synth sounds better. All my like effects and reverb, like everything just sounds so much better. And I've been sending you talked to my dear friend David Rothbaum on your podcast a long time ago. And I'm working on a score right now, and I keep sending him demos, and I'm like, am I crazy? Does this stuff sound better? And he's like, no, I think it actually does. Really excited because I have a cue coming up where I need to replace rewrite it and replace everything. And I wrote it before the power switch, and it's like Rhodes and hardware synths, and it's a very like in the wires acoustic, well, not acoustic, but analog thing. And so I'm very excited to like just note for note replace all that stuff with the exact same sounds first to see if it actually, if I'm crazy or not. But this room is like, it's the best sounding setup I've ever had, for sure. Like, it's really great. Exciting. Yeah.
That's great. I actually just got I'm in the process of resetting up my studio at my house, but I don't think we've like chatted outside of just messaging since I also moved, but this was a while ago. I think when we chatted, I was still in Seattle. But yeah, we've got a 112-year-old house as well. And it's our first time homeowner. Like, and it'll be 4 years in November. And I still love it. Like I don't know, doing, growing up, I had to do a bunch of chores around the house and, all the weeding and all that kind of stuff. And it was just like no allowance. And I just hated that. And I never thought that owning my own home, that would all change. Like I just love projecting at home. It's pretty fun.
Same. Oh no, same. It really, like, I don't know if you feel this way, but we're very sure that we're in our forever home here,
Yeah.
And so it just totally, we'd been renting before this, and like, it just changes everything. It's amazing. We're incredibly lucky, and I feel very blessed to to have these quote unquote problems, you know.
Right? Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
um,
So you're still in LA?
Still in LA. Did not move very far away from
Okay.
where it was before. But
And I haven't checked, but how are your Dodgers doing? I see you're wearing the hat. The World Series
uh,
is happening, but I
the
don't know
World Series
where.
is happening. We're tied up now. They lost last
Tied up.
night.
Yeah,
After
so
that 18 inning marathon
that's so
between the two.
crazy. Yeah, our beloved Mariners.
Oh my God.
Just heartbreaking for the people who are super into that,
You
like
know, the Mariners this year have definitely become my American League team in no small part because they invited us to throw out the first pitch at one of their games.
Oh, that's cool. Really? Like clipping?
Yeah, so I threw the first pitch. Yeah. So
Wow,
I threw the
that's
first
rad.
pitch out at a Mariners game this year, and if anything will get me to become a fan of a team,
Right? Yeah,
it's that.
that's
And I was super into baseball in the Ken Griffey Jr. days, right?
same
And it
here.
was
Yeah,
sort of hard not to be a Mariners fan then,
totally. Mm-hmm.
too, and that they're the only team that's never been to the series.
And
Oh,
for that Cal whatever to like break all these records, and it's just like
big
it just
dumper.
seemed
Yeah.
it just seemed like they were like on the trajectory, and yeah,
Oh, it was so exciting. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, anyway.
yeah,
Now,
sports.
now my allegiances are not divided, at least.
Right. I was thinking, and only for this reason, so nothing against the Dodgers. I was thinking it would be funny if the Blue Jays won just so because Trump, if
Yeah.
the Dodgers win, Trump's gonna say how Canada's weaker,
Yeah.
and it's just like I just don't give him any more.
I mean, are there any Canadians on the Blue Jays? It's so funny
I don't know.
to
I
think of that
haven't kept
team as
up. Yeah,
to think of that team as like a representation of like Canadian athletic prowess is like, well, it
yeah.
doesn't actually work that way, does it? Yeah.
I didn't even put this together either, but like Drake versus Kendrick.
Right.
So now,
Right.
so I can't root for Toronto now. Yeah, definitely all LA.
I mean, look, we got it last year. The Blue Jays are kind of underdogs.
Yeah,
In the world, it would be pretty funny if some American powerhouse fell to
yeah,
a foreign power.
right.
Can't deny that it's kind of an okay look these days.
Right. Yeah, kind of apt.
Very much, a Dodgers fan rooting for the Dodgers for sure. But we got it last year. I feel like the stakes are a lot lower.
Yeah, yeah.
This year.
And Dodgers have been doing relatively well over the last handful of years too, right?
Yeah. No, they're.
All right, Simps nerds, we're
Okay.
done. We're done with sports ball. So okay, I want to talk about the new album for sure, and I'm gonna have to do a little bit of a classic Tim talks, maybe too long, but I just want to tie this all together because I love when just the way things work out sometimes, especially around this podcast and preparing for a chat. So I see the new album's out, so instantly I'm stoked, right? So I want to go check that out, and I want to get a hold of you, like, hey, new album, good excuse to chat again. So I start listening to it, and I think by my second listen, I was, and I hadn't done any research, listened to any interviews or any press kit kind of stuff like that, because I like to go in and just take it all in. And here are some thoughts that were kind of going through my head. It was like, if Cyberpunk Edge Runners, like the anime show or the video game or the TTRPG, whatever, that whole world, if that had if I could pick the soundtrack for like that world, I was like, this would be really great for it. The second one, the second kind of third things, it really gave me some Vegas by Crystal Method vibes in a few parts and I really liked that because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I don't hear enough people talking about how good that Vegas album is.
There's so much stuff from that era that's so good.
Right.
Like that
Yeah.
we really revisited. Yeah, Midfield General is really my guy from that era.
Okay.
And that's stuff that I wasn't actually super familiar with until like diving in and doing research for this. But those records, the one really, there's really kind of, I mean, there's like 2 or 3 records, but there's one album with the
Midfield
big hits.
General.
Yeah,
Okay.
Devil in Sports Casual is the jam, but that whole
Okay.
record is incredible.
Okay. I'll check that out.
That kind of like sample heavy. It's like hip hop production sped up with no rapping, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that kind
Totally.
of sample heavy, like super plunderphonic cut up stuff. I mean, even those Fatboy Slim records are great from that time.
Yeah. There was
Vegas is great.
definitely
Lion
a
Rock are great. Yeah, I don't know.
a whole like and so I'm also coming at that type of music at that time, and also the next type, and also like early days of hip hop outside of just like what everybody knows. You know, growing up in Roslyn, Washington, I didn't have access to a lot of, you know,
Sure.
ways to
Yeah.
hear different types of music. So the next one is, I don't think it's accurate. I think there would be a lot better references, but because of my limited knowledge of the time, it felt like if you took Crystal Method and Jock Jams, like early 90s, that fast hip hop, and it really, it made me feel nostalgic for something that like wasn't my thing ever as a kid when it, you know, when it was existing in its time, which I found pretty interesting. But
That's funny. Yeah.
and what year did you graduate high school? Because I have a feeling we might be like really close to the same age.
2000.
Okay, so I graduated in '02, and I just
Okay.
like, I felt like I was like, this sounds like somebody from, you know, my graduating class made this, you know,
Yeah, no,
like,
totally.
but still modern. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm
Yeah.
saying all of this as kind of like, these are kind of the evocations or whatever from the album, but it still sounds like clipping, which is another kind of aspect that I really loved about it. It's very different for a clipping album, but it's undeniably a clipping album. You know,
Yeah, I mean, it in many ways it's our most conventional outing.
I think
Um,
as a casual listener, yeah, yeah,
um, there are drum sounds on it.
yeah.
I mean, we use drum sounds all the time, but
Of
there's like
course.
really a lot. Like
Hmm.
there's like just drum programming on this one. Um, we had made the first song we made for it was "Run It,"
Hmm.
and we had made that as a pitch to try to get a song in a video game, which was rejected. They may not have even listened to it. I think it was like, I don't know. My memory is vague because this was a long time ago because we take
Hmm.
forever to do anything.
Yeah.
And my memory is that Sub Pop's music supervisors were trying to get some video game placements, and they were like, "Hey, this studio is making this such and such game. Here's kind of the theme. Do you have anything that we should submit for it?"
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
we were in the studio working on the horror record stuff. And
Hmm.
usually, what happens is that we reach a point where um, David just needs to do a ton of writing to sort of catch up to where the beats are. And
Yeah.
if we're in my studio, then Bill and I have all kinds of production stuff to do. But we were in New York because David was doing a play, and we were in like just a generic another studio. I mean, a very good studio.
Hmm.
But we didn't have all of our stuff, you know.
Right.
And so while we were kind of like while we were sitting waiting for him to write something that day, I was like, I'm just gonna sketch out a beat just in like Logic on my laptop with
Hmm.
whatever sounds I have, um, that could maybe fit the theme of what we think, if we had a song that we thought would fill this brief, exactly what that would sound like. I remember it's the among the most hungover I've ever been that day. Bill was literally asleep on the couch while David was writing, but David was doing a play, so he was being a responsible adult.
Right.
Bill and
Right.
I, like at like 5 p.m. every day. We would have to be done in the studio so David could do his play. And Bill and I were
And
just
you're in New York.
in New
So,
York with
yeah.
all of our old friends and all of
Uh-huh.
these things. So we were not maybe the most responsible during that trip. And I remember just like in a haze, like slogging through, like, no, I'm going to make something. We're going to make a thing today. And made a skeleton of it. David, I think, even wrote to it and recorded a scratch demo there. Then we came, we took it back to the studio and cleaned it all up and stuff. And at a certain point, the game had passed on our demo, if they even heard it. And we were like, as we often do in the middle of an album, we make one thing that doesn't fit that we really like. And we're like, well, that's the like tip of the iceberg of the next album.
Does that kind of like, is there a relief to that or a comfort to that?
Like knowing what to do next?
Yeah.
So speaking from a place where we don't have that, it's the first time we actually don't have a plan for the next record right now. Yeah. Like usually in interviews, on an album cycle, people be like, and you know what's next? And we're like, yeah, we won't tell you, but we do know, we know where it's going.
Right.
And right now, I mean, well, that's not true. I know where it's going, but we don't have that thing this time. We didn't like make an extra song in the middle of Dead Channel Sky that we're like, ooh, hang on to that one. And that's usually how it works. And this time it didn't work that way.
Okay. Because I could also see, like maybe that's, I think for a group like you guys and just the type of creators that I get the sense that you are, especially at this point in your career, I think this could be a good switch up, a good thing. Like it could, not to say that you guys approach anything, any one album like the same exact way. We all have our kind of like, our hardwired methods or whatever, and then we kind of branch out from those. But yeah, maybe it could provide just an opportunity for something to happen externally to be like, oh, there it is, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, when you said that this is the most different yet still undeniably a clipping record, I mean, that's kind of what I've learned, because I've spent my whole life trying not to get in sort of a rut creatively and just do the same thing over and over again. And my other job of scoring movies means that I many times do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah,
right? Of course.
yeah.
That's just part of it. But what I have learned is every time I'm like, no, I need to do something totally outside of my normal habits and outside of my normal taste, and I need to make something completely unique, it still sounds like me. Like there's actually no way to shake that. Like at this point, I have a fucking sound, and so does clipping.
Yeah.
And we can break all of our rules about what clipping sounds like and still kind of sound like clipping. I mean, there's notable exceptions of like music the three of us have made that doesn't sound like a clipping song. Like we made a fucking Hanukkah kids song for the Disney Channel that doesn't sound like a clipping song, but it's the three of us working.
Oh wow, I'd love to. I'm gonna have to check that out.
It's called Puppy for Hanukkah, and don't play it for your kids if
Okay.
you want to remain friends with us. Every Hanukkah season, I just get a million text messages from it's like, I fucking hate you guys. Why did you write this song?
Oh, it sounds kind of scary. Sounds like it's gonna be a sad one.
No, it's I think a lot of kids want puppies after hearing
Oh,
it.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But no, I don't know. It's like kind of freeing to be like, actually, no, you just relax and make the thing you want to make, and it will still feel like you. And but there's tons of, but I really like it when artists reinvent themselves, even if they go directions that I don't particularly care for, because it's like, I have the old record. I can listen to the old record. We know what that sounds like.
Totally.
Who cares? Like Square Pusher can make a solo bass record that I don't care for. That's fine. He can. That's great. I have everything else he's ever made that I still love. You know what I mean? Like I've reached a point where my like taste in artists and bands is like it's like taste in people. It's like these are people that I think are doing interesting
Totally.
things, and they have like a life in the arts that is admirable and is like
Mm-hmm.
it seems sustainable, and they seem like they are having fun in a project, and like that's my taste in um probably my favorite composer, if I really was pinned down, which will, is an answer that will change every 15 minutes, but one of my favorites is, of course, Ryuichi Sakamoto, who
Mm-hmm.
made an obscene amount of radically different music, and much of it I don't care for,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but he never lost his like interest of exploration, and like and the breadth of his career is really inspiring, that he did like incredibly cheesy stuff and then very serious classical music, and then like really really experimental sort of field recording based stuff, and like he just always kept growing, always kept changing, never let himself be sort of boxed into a particular thing.
Totally.
I find that
Yeah.
deeply inspiring and moving and exciting. So Uh, you know, um, there are also artists who I love who do the same thing or a variation on it over and over and over and over and over again. It's like
Totally.
I don't really need to like listen to every Merzbow record that comes out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah.
love that he makes so many and he keeps doing things,
Right.
and
Totally.
is
Yeah.
really like exploring this like um this avenue. It's like, yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like the idea of like being a master craftsman at one very narrow particular thing versus being kind of a jack of all trades, master of none kind of vibe.
Right.
And I appreciate and respect and admire both, which are
Same.
very generic, like very like vast generalizations of ways that you can
Totally.
be an artist. But I'm certainly, I cast a wide net myself. I
I'm this.
think.
Yeah. I'm the same way. And um, like a band. So like two bands that were big in high school for me, or just post high school, um, that I always dip back into. Who knows if I would like them now if I heard them for the first time, but they're in there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, who made basically just the same record over and over again, but it was exactly what I wanted from No Effects and Cake.
Sure. Yeah.
Like you could just do a random grab, of their songs, put them all together, and they would sound
I,
roughly like they're on the same album.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then you get somebody like, like Ryuichi Sakamoto. Like one of my favorite records of all time is that Varun with Alvin Noto.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's
That
super
stuff is amazing.
minimalist. It is like for there's a part of me that's like, well, if I say it's one of my favorite albums, but I don't know, you know, over half of this artist's catalog, or it's like it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
it's. I mean, I say he's my favorite composer, and I'm like really. I still feel like I'm in my infancy of discovering him, just because there's so much.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Do you ever listen to Arvo Part? Arvo Part?
sure, parrot. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's as far as like modern. Like I'd put if you were to ask me, my answer would have been Sakamoto or Part.
Or parrot.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
my
love.
wife just went to Estonia because we have a friend that lives there, and she got to see two of his like. Not,
Oh,
he wasn't
cool.
there, of course, but like two
Yeah,
different
yeah.
performances of some of his pieces.
Yeah,
It's
he's
just
another one that I don't. I mean, I love I love his music, and I'm not super familiar with the breadth of the catalog,
right. Yeah.
but
How did we end up here? Oh yeah, the making like the ideas and not
make
having an idea for the next one.
and making things that sound like you versus trying to branch out, yeah.
I think what you said, like it's something that I've talked about on and off the show, and I think for me personally, as a fan of artists and music, and just I'm a head, like I go in, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I find that a lot of most of my favorite artists who do have a little bit more of a wide, who cast a wider net as far as types of sounds they make and everything, variation within their catalog, that sound like themselves every time. I just feel like that is one of like that is one of my few on a checklist that make for what I view as a great artist. You know, like they have their own voice, but they don't. You know, you can hear that they're. It's like that's the only part. There's something in it. It's almost like ephemeral or something. You can't quite say what it is, and so you just have to say it's just them coming out of it. You know.
Yeah. The that's the thing that amazes me the most about Philip Glass. Because like on paper, the idea of his music is so incredibly simple and restrictive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're really, to make something that sounds like Philip Glass feels like a very one note kind of idea, or I guess two notes, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes three. um, but he's found a way to turn this incredibly specific and undeniable sound that's so easy to imitate. Also, it's
Yeah.
crazy that he's the sort of first person to do music that sounds exactly like that, because it feels so simple and obvious once you've heard it. And he's found a way to turn that into like also a film scoring career across radically different movies. So there's there's a way that he can take these incredibly like the same harmonic ideas over and over and over again and make them work for Candyman and Thin Blue Line and Hours and what was that Amazon show he scored recently? I don't know. It was like a sci-fi like felt like an anthology, but the stories all wove together. It's really cool. Nope.
How recently?
Dad brain. Like 4 years ago or something like
It wasn't that Tales of the Loop.
Tales of the Loop. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Truman
Which perfect,
Show. Like,
perfect for him.
yeah.
Also,
there's, you know, the it's not like he gets just the art movies or something.
Right.
You know,
right.
like Michael Nyman, who I also love, who also has a very particular style. Like, feels like those. I feel like he could have had that career, right, if like people had hired him, but he just got sort of pigeonholed in this very like art movie space. Well, what are the exceptions? Ravenous, which is one of my absolute favorite scores.
That is so funny you say that, because
love that
our
score.
friend who lives in Estonia, you know, he's like he's my movie buff guy. Like, he's the one, he got me into Tarkovsky and all of that stuff.
Okay, sure, yeah.
And Ravenous, we were drinking one night a couple of years ago and it was late, and he was like, you got to we have to watch Ravenous. And I watched it as a kid, and there's something about that he finds it funny, but also like he loves it. And I think the score is a huge part of that.
The score is amazing.
It is pretty wild.
What else is great that Michael Nyman did, that I'd love to hear more of, and every few years I go looking on the internet for some version of this. He wrote the score for that Nicole Kidman, Sandra Bullock movie, Practical Magic.
Okay.
And then it was removed and Alan Silvestri replaced it.
Okay. So that's Silvestri. That's just like there's an artist who okay, so this is Silvestri right here.
I mean, that's like he's like the last of a breed of composer that we just don't get anymore. I mean, he's amazing. But no, but there were CDs pressed that only had 2 score tracks on them, but the first pressing of those, which came out before the movie, before the score had been replaced, have these 2 Michael Nyman cues on it.
Whoa, that's cool.
That are amazing. And I've always wondered what happened to the rest of that music, because it's pretty cool. I mean, he'd just done the piano and stuff, so they were probably like, oh, this is we can have him do a big Hollywood movie. And then some executive was like, what is this music?
Yeah. Which is like a dead ringer for like, oh, that means it was great.
Potentially. I don't know. Randy Newman's score for Air Force One is not great. They were correct to get Jerry Goldsmith in on that one. I love Randy Newman, but that was not the best match.
President in danger on the airplane. So going back to like So what made this kind of cool, like a cool weird kismet thing with Dead Channel Sky, and these first thoughts that I'm hearing, like, whoa, this sounds like it was just like this flash of so many things, or deluge of so many things. Like, this sounds like, and I love that you guys actually, I think you tied this one in. So let me start over. Crystal Method, all of everything I already said with the nostalgia aspect, but also I've become a super nerd, and I'm reticent to talk about it, but since kind
Only
of
recently have you become a super nerd. Yeah. Before
no,
this, yeah. No.
I have expanded into a whole new arena of nerddom.
Oh boy.
So, I took a break from the podcast for a while. Also, I haven't drank in 11 months. I
Hey,
just
congratulations. That's awesome.
thanks, man. So like, I just needed to switch things up, and just, I was, doing it every week for 6 years straight. And it's just a lot of work. And,
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, as I'm like, I wanted to get in. My wife loves playing board games. She loves playing games. I've never been a
Cool.
big game guy, because like, I feel like I'm just always too antsy and stuff. So I was like, there's got to be a game I could get into that we would both like. So I bought some Magic the Gathering cards to see what
Yes.
would happen.
Here we go.
Do you play?
I did as a kid, like really when it first came out. Like I got into it around Revised, I want to say, and then
Okay.
out of it around like Homelands.
Okay, so yeah,
a little
deep.
chunk of time in the early 90s. And then I got back into it. I was playing online for probably about a year, pretty much right up until my daughter was born. And then I was
Okay,
like, how the
like on
hell?
Arena, like
Yeah.
yeah. That's
And
that's
I was like, how the hell am I? Why would I spend time doing this?
yeah.
Now that I have a
So
kid,
right, yeah. My
I
wife and I tried to have a kid, and it just didn't work out. So I guess I'm just leaning into that. So yeah, we'll play every once in a while. She likes it. She has a few decks, but like, she didn't. I have a bag right here, because my coworker in the studio, I got him into it, so we'll play in the studio if it's slow.
nice. It's an amazing game.
It is so fun, and it's not. I think a lot of people think it's role playing. It's like tied in with D&D in a lot of people's heads. And it's like, no, it's just a straight up card game.
I if do you play Dominion? Have you played Dominion?
Mm-mm.
So Dominion is the long game of Magic the Gathering, the deck building part
Okay.
assembled into a single short game that like normal people can play
Okay.
and
All right.
understand.
Dominion. I'll check that out then.
It's a really, really smart, really good card game that gives you like checks some of the same boxes
Okay.
as figuring out what the new cards do, how they all work together, like all of that sort of big picture Magic the Gathering stuff that I really love, but is the super time consuming part of it.
Okay.
It checks a lot of
Cool.
those boxes within a 30-minute game.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because the deck building and like kind of the outside of just the gameplay is um, is a huge part of it too. Like, I love building decks, and
It's so
just trying
fun.
different stuff out. And I'm finding it's like, it feels a lot like working with modular.
Totally.
Because it's expensive, and you get into it and you just like really go in. And there's all these individual parts that work with each other in different ways. So you can kind of like, there's a creative process to building decks. And I think
Absolutely. That's actually the game. Like playing
for sure.
Playing the game is the side effect of the actual game, which is building the decks, trying to figure out combinations, looking at stats. Like it's so deeply nerdy and satisfying in that way.
Yeah.
I love it, and I'm so grateful that switch flipped off in my brain, that I'm not like that. It's not on the list of things that I'm obsessing with in that way anymore, because it was really quite time consuming. It was fun.
It's
super
very
fun.
time consuming. Yeah.
But I don't know. I'd rather, I guess, obsess over power in the studio and
totally. I go through phases.
Like,
I go through phases. I get I go really, really deep on stuff. Like I've had a graphic novel phase. I had like a painting phase, and I'm not at all
Mm.
a painter, but I was
Mm-hmm,
doing
mm-hmm.
something that I enjoyed doing. And so, along the way, trying to get people to play, very few of my friends want to play. Um, but I had a friend express interest in, I want to play D&D. And I was like, I've always wanted to play D&D. So like I got like a starter kit, and then I ended up getting the books. And then I
Nice.
started like finding out about other TTRPGs, tabletop role-playing games, and got the Cyberpunk Edge Runners
Oh
mission
yeah.
kit. I've got the Shadowrun beginners kit. But the one that I really really want, and I haven't played any of them, by the way, because
Sure.
it's really in depth, and I'm 40 and all my friends are, it's like, it's a
Yeah, it's
whole
a
thing.
lot. It's really
Yeah.
hard to get people together at this age, isn't it? Yeah.
Totally. But I found one called Mork Borg, which, if you haven't heard of this, like, even if you're not going to play the game, you should look at the art. It's basically like a black metal album, like art book, that is also the like rule book. And
Oh,
it's
amazing.
it's
Yeah,
it's
that's
really
cool.
it's really cool. It's Swedish. It's really cool.
Oh,
But
that's
that
great.
takes place like, and I heard David on an interview recently at like NPR or something, talking about. Sorry, I know this is really long, and I'm the
No, no,
host. You're
no.
the guest.
It's
I
your
shouldn't be
it's your
talking this much.
it's your time. It's much more interesting for me to hear you talk than for me to talk.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
I talk all the time.
Yeah, right.
I know what's going on in here. Yeah.
So so Mork Borg and then the Cyberpunk. Those are all. It's not post-apocalyptic. It is like real time, like, because the apocalypse, doesn't. It's not something that happens, and then there's that. Well, who knows? But like, I would imagine that it's more of like a gradient, a clinal change,
Certainly how
and
it's feeling right now, isn't it? Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And that, before I like knew that you were going with cyberpunk, that video games were the kind of the birth of this, and that you were, because I listened to the Fantano episode as well, or interview,
Oh yeah.
and that's where I was just like, oh, I kind of wish I wouldn't have listened to this, because I'm getting all the answers that I should have got from Jonathan
Hmm.
about all this stuff. But either way, I was thinking all this stuff like, okay, there's definitely using sounds that all, like, the speed of some of the songs and just some of the sounds, like the way it's all put together, really feels cyberpunky, video gamey, all, and also like with like an homage to something. And that all came, like, fell into place when I heard you guys mentioning that you wanted to make an album that took place in 2025, but from the perspective of like 97 or something like that.
Yeah.
and
I mean,
and it's like, oh yeah,
I've always loved stuff like that, like wild, predictive future
totally.
science fiction that takes place in then a year that's not actually not that far away, and that you sort of pass, right?
Right.
And as a kid, as a snotty kid, you feel like, oh, what were they thinking? This is not what 1993 is going to be like, or whatever,
Right, right,
right?
yeah.
Um, but as like an adult, right? Like you're like, oh, well, actually, I mean, it's always been about the present, and it's always been, it's metaphors, and it's actually really interesting to like sort of to play with expectations versus like reflections of the reality that we actually live in. And it's kind of funny. It's a funny way to sort of flip that.
Totally, yeah.
Uh,
What I really like about it is like a fresh take on like a tried and true concept, and I mean tried and true in that literal sense. Like, yeah, this is something. It's a device that has
mhm.
been used because it works really well, and the if the you calling a device like that like hacky or something, I don't think is quite fair. Like, I don't know why I went with hacky, but like, yeah, just flipping an old standard on its head. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah. No, I think that's right. And I mean, hacky's not the worst word, right? Like we use a lot of like sort of like tricks and gimmicks and concepts and things that you can really solidify. I mean, sometimes we call them jokes, even, right?
Hmm.
Like ideas that are really like sort of simple. Like instead of this, we do this,
Hmm.
and the
Hmm.
more of those you stack on each other, like the more, like the less like gimmicky it gets. And plenty of our songs are just like, I mean, we do this in terms of production too. Like any sort of like any very like process based production trick that you just understand immediately by hearing the song. Like we have the song, the song "Get Up," that is, the beat is just an alarm clock, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's the premise, and you understand that hearing it immediately, right? And you're like, oh wow, they're really just going to let this alarm clock go the whole time,
Hmm.
right? Or like our song "Run for Your Life," that where David is rapping along like with beats that come out of passing cars that pass him on the street, right?
Hmm.
Like that are these things that you, I mean, it's the my love of that in like production techniques or in composition techniques definitely comes from like Steve Reich and Alvin Lucier, um, and these people who would make these kind of very on the surface simple process pieces that they would just sort of let go, let happen, and the music would be the result of this process. And to me, that's the most successful and the most intriguing, when you don't need to read about it and you can hear the process happening in the music itself. And
Hmm. Hmm.
it's so hard to come up with those.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
think that we've done two, really,
Hmm.
um, where I feel like it really works, and it's really like, but those are, Bill and I kind of rib each other about those, because I think for Bill and the band, those pieces are like hacky and jokey, right? That they're like gimmicks, that they're like novelty music, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
He doesn't really, I mean, but he'll use those words in a sort of joking context. And for me, like that's the sweet spot. Like that's what I want. I would love to do a whole record of only those,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but and the only thing that's stopping me is my lack of ability to come up with more ideas for them. Right? So
Totally, totally. Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I also love like something that I like have really missed, as getting older, is just like artistic collaboration with somebody who like where you both want to work like together, like maybe not quite equally, but like you're both in it, and
hmm
and
hmm
I think with that, like having, you just painted two pretty opposite perspectives of you and your bandmate. So like you guys individually, you know, Bill wouldn't find himself making something like that, but like together you guys can like take these disparate ideas and forge one or something like that. I miss that kind of process.
yeah, I mean, we
Can also
like
be painful and annoying.
it's
But.
I don't collaborate well with a lot of people.
Hmm.
It's a very very short list that I feel like it works out pretty well with, Bill and David being very high on that list, obviously.
Uh-huh.
I think we've known each other for so long, and they have known each other even longer than I've known the two of them, and the amount of shared references that develop over that kind of time is extremely helpful. We also all three went to theater school. Bill and I went
Mm-hmm.
to undergrad together to the same theater school, and David went to theater school at Brown, and we all sort of come from theater, which does tend to create a a shared language, like that's
For
that's
sure.
pretty unique. Like theater people have a pretty unique way that I can't necessarily quantify of communicating, but I do tend to find myself, because I'm my the strong theater background, that I work pretty well with theater people.
That
Like I
makes sense.
understand them,
Yeah.
and we understand each other. And then also, like within those tastes and those shared references, we also like we pull them in different directions. We want to pull them in different directions, and I think that tension is what makes the band kind of work a little bit too. We always joke that like uh David is the reason the band feels virtuosic, Bill is the reason that it's like tasteful and precise, and I'm the reason that it happens at all. Like, because Bill and I have made a lot of music together, and it's like when it's just the two of us and we're making whatever we want, it's usually very like austere, cold, like long form
Mm-hmm.
noise.
Mm-hmm.
David and I have made songs together, and like we're both really good at yes-anding each other into like the dumbest places.
Uh-huh.
There's like an old pre-clipping song that will never come out that's like it's about gorillas, and like David's making monkey noises and gorilla noises in it, and it's also a Battlestar Galactica remix, like, and like when Bill's in the room, that shit doesn't happen.
Right,
Bill will not stand for that. And there's so many times in clipping songs where David's like, what if I do this goofy ass voice for this line or this verse? I'm like, that's amazing, let's do that. And Bill's like, guys, shut it down. Like, what are we doing here? And the punchline of that story then is that, like, I think as long as they've known each other, I don't think Bill and David have ever made a song just the two of them, right?
Oh,
They've
wow.
always worked with somebody else.
That's interesting.
I don't think so. And so they're both like, they're both very creative, smart, fun people who I think have can have trouble just motivating and generating things on their own. And that's kind of that's a big part of my job in the band, right? Is to make sure we actually finish things. And it takes forever, and because it's the place where I get to be slow too. I'm not on a film score schedule, so I'm like, look, it doesn't work unless we're having fun doing this, and that takes time, and you can't schedule it in the same way that you can schedule just like a film soundtrack. But yeah, it's I think that tension is really helpful in making music too.
And sometimes first thought, best thought, and yes anding gets you where you need to be. But sometimes meeting a little resistance also makes you find a way to where you're trying to go. Okay, well, that path didn't work. I'm still trying to go there. I'm going to find a way that Bill will be okay. Or something like that.
You can have such good taste that you're actually paralyzed and you can't do anything. Right?
Oh my God, that's my friend David. Oh, I'm gonna clip this and show David, because he doesn't ever finish it. He never finishes anything. But he's one of the most brilliant synthesists I've ever known.
It's one of the things that I think theater kind of trains you. It's like at a certain point, there's going to be people in the seats and that curtain's going to go up. So you have to have something.
Yeah.
Right. Other mediums like film and records, right? Like you can kind of keep tweaking them forever in theory, and you never have to have any actual output to do the thing.
Yeah. I've been working on the same record for like 3+ years, and I have like the same, there's a handful, 5-6 songs, and I've retracked and, and I'm still, but I'm going to finish it before I'm 43.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I talk a big game. I haven't like made music for myself in 15 years, probably,
Well, I imagine scoring having that be a professional gig can really take from that, right?
I put my experiments and my like fun and my noodling and my twiddling in the studio and figuring things out. A lot of that happens in the scoring world, and I've found a way to make the music I write for movies really feel like it's mine.
Okay.
I feel that way. Like I used to not think that, right? I used to think, well, there's the scoring work and then there's the other work, but its scoring work is all consuming. It's part of it is, I'm sure, a defense mechanism, right? That if I couldn't find a way to do that, I would be miserable doing the scoring work. But I actually I found a way to really enjoy it and to really to make it into kind of an art's life and a practice for myself. I would love to make like a solo record that has like a concept and an idea that I make music specifically for. I've made like 1 million solo records like on my Bandcamp page that are sort of compilations of like sketches and field recordings and things, ideas from other projects and stuff. And I was doing that for 1.5 years or so, like these like, I called them work study, this series that every month I would just release a
Mm-hmm.
Bandcamp release, like a tape of sketches. I would organize it into 2 sides. I put it out once a month for about a year and a half.
Uh-huh.
I miss doing that to a degree. I tried that out. I don't know. People didn't seem to care.
It's so hard to get people to care.
And that's not the reason to do a thing
Totally.
necessarily either.
But there is a it's not a black and white interaction or relationship between those two. There is a weird gray area of like, of course you don't want to make stuff for the sake of praise or any of that or but at the
But you don't
same
want
time
to
it's like you're making
operate in
this
a vacuum either. Yeah.
exactly like you're
Yeah.
making sounds for people to listen to, you know.
I mean, we always talk about when we made the Mid City, the first clipping record, we expected to hurl it into the black hole of the internet and never hear about it again. And then
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah.
we had a tour scheduled and maybe do a couple of shows, and then be like, well, we tried that. Let's try something else now.
Right, right, yeah. Uh-huh.
Because that's how everything else I do goes. Like still, kind of.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like I've heard that story from so many different artists who end up going on to make multiple records and tour and yeah, I think and I think part of I mean there's a correlation somewhere in there between there's not as much thirst on it from that's translatable to the listener or something, like it doesn't when you're really trying to like I want to make something that everybody's going to love, like if that can kind of that spirit can kind of I don't know there's I hate to use the word authenticity because it's such a terrible word or genuine, but like there's a
Yeah.
genuine aspect also I feel like that can be a really huge part of success if it lines up with something that's actually really good.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that, but I feel like there's something there.
Yeah. Plenty of people make great things that nobody ever finds.
Oh yeah, no, I guess I
Um,
was speaking more to like the things that do somehow become a hit in whatever sense they can be a hit,
I'm
or
not sure.
or like
I wonder. I like another thing. I've sort of given up feeling like I get to decide what people take out of anything I make too.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And for me, what's become important is that um, I had ideas, right, and that those
mm-hmm.
ideas I feel like I've realized them in the piece, and it's actually better if other people hear different things or take different things, and to a point, like the more prescriptive and manipulative I try to be in the work I make, the less good work I make, I think.
That you just said eloquently what I stumbled my way through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I like things that ask questions rather than provide answers. And I like a lot of things that provide answers too. Like I love a good Spielberg movie. Like I'm not
Yeah,
going to
right,
pretend,
right, right.
you
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like there,
Uh-huh.
that is its own form of virtuosity, and it's amazing when people do it. I'm not trying to
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
but my taste usually is in things that are more open-ended and that ask more work of me as an
I
audience.
totally agree. Like
I
the
mean,
best song on the album is never the first favorite, you know?
right, right. Um, I and I also like this idea that like if you stack a few gimmicks on top of each other, it stops becoming novelty music and it stops being a joke and it just becomes complex. I went to a talk recently by Cliff Martinez, the
Mm-hmm.
film composer who does a bunch of Soderbergh movies and other stuff.
Aronofsky too, I think.
Uh,
Was it,
has he done an Aronofsky
or was
movie?
that Clint? I get him, or did
Clint
he?
Mansell
Clint
does Aronofsky
Mansell.
movies.
That's yeah, yeah,
Clint
yeah.
Mansell was in Pop Will Eat Itself
Okay,
in the 80s,
okay.
and uh,
Maybe he did some
and
rep. Did he do some refin or Windig refin or something? Cliff
Cliff
Martinez.
Martinez did,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he did
Yeah, yeah,
Drive and
yeah, yeah.
Only God Forgives and Neon Demon.
Mhm.
My favorite.
Neon Demon
Love
is
that movie.
wild, dude.
God, I love that movie. And he said at some point, he's like, if you rip off 3 different things at the same time, it will feel like it's originality. It will be mistaken for originality. I
Yeah,
thought
I
that
mean,
was
like look
so
at look
funny.
at.
Yeah.
I mean, I brought up Cake, but
Yeah.
Cake was at this time of like alternative country, but also like some hip hop, like with the production and the drum beats and stuff, and it was just like it. Yeah, or Beck, you know, like
And the horn section felt real zeitgeisty at that time too, right? With the big ska swing thing happening, and yeah. I liked Cake at the time. I haven't listened to that stuff in so long.
I still like. They're one of my favorite bands because they got in my bones at like just the right time of, you know, because I always thought they were a radio hit band, and then
Right.
like got the albums, and like it's like, oh, the single is by far my least favorite song on this entire record, like
I
on
only
all the
remember the
records.
singles now. I know I had whatever the record with like Going the Distance on
Yeah,
it
Fashion
was.
Nugget. Yeah,
Yeah, Fashion Nugget. That's right. That's the name. Jesus.
their
Yeah, I
first album is Motorcade of Generosity. I'd like give that a try because
all right.
it's
Yeah,
pretty good.
I'm happy to go back to that. You know, the band I always think of hand in hand, not because they have anything to do with each other, just because I listened to it at the same time, that I also really loved was Eels.
Yeah, I saw the Eels live
Oh,
as a
cool.
kid. Yeah, it was really cool. I never really like fully got in on them, but
That
yeah, I
song,
totally similar vibe. I think, especially in their voices, they kind of have a similar kind of
totally.
thing going on.
That song Fly Swatter, I really like. There was like, I mean, you know, these like sort of minor key, vaguely steampunky kind of feeling
Uh huh.
things
Yeah, yeah,
that I quite liked at the time. I was listening to a lot of Tom Waits back then too, who's a different category, but like was scratching sort of the same itch. So I sort of
yeah, yeah.
associate that kind of like kind of broken, spooky technology
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
with the
yeah.
sort of like minor keys and like sort of odd scales
Mm-hmm.
in
What's
the
your
music.
favorite like Waits kind of like not era, but like
Oh,
patch
well,
of
I mean,
five
the record I
years?
listened to the most that I probably have the closest relationship with, because it was the one that came out while I was really paying attention, was Mule Variations.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
um, that like What's He Building in there track, and what else is on that one? Innocent When You Dream is on that one, which
Is
is
Alice on
amazing.
that one?
Yeah, Alice, did you say?
I think,
That's
yeah.
its own record, right?
Oh, that's a record. Okay,
Because
okay.
that's a soundtrack for a Robert Wilson
Oh,
piece,
okay.
right?
Yeah, yeah. One of
Isn't it?
them's
I think
like
so.
I don't know, but so yeah, I think like Blood Money, like there was like a that kind of like 2000s late 90s kind of run. A lot of those albums bleed together in my head because I actually
Yeah, like
got
Swordfish
into.
Trombone, and yeah.
Yeah, I think that one's early. I think that
That
was
one's
the one where
earlier,
he
right?
first started going because like his
Yeah.
stuff
I should
before that is like kind of crooner y in a weird way, but I
Black
really like
Rider
it.
is in there too. Yeah. Right. Black Rider is great.
Nighthawk, yeah,
Nighthawks at the Diner is earlier,
Nighthawk. I
right?
think that's kind of my like if I was
Oh,
gonna, and
okay,
then
cool.
I just really, and it's not he hadn't kind of gone as weird yet, and then Rain Dogs, of course.
But that's another person who has that, like, to me, admirable arts life.
Totally,
You know,
yes,
I just
yes.
and I love the way those records sounds. That it's just like it's like a guy with a bunch of junk in a barn,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel
Mm-hmm.
like he lives in those records, and that's just what his life sounds like all the time. And there's
Right.
something I love about that. Even the ones that don't really resonate with me, or the ones that I don't really care, I was just like, man, this is a unique person who like found found a style and a sound and is totally original. And it's, I mean, it's referential of a ton of things, but I admire that.
So Tom Waits is somebody I would say I'm a huge fan of, but like just kind of a fan of, like you just said, just kind of an artistic output and approach and
Yeah.
kind of track record. You know, I was
And
just
yeah,
yeah,
that's become the kind of fan I am.
same here.
I,
I was just talking about this with my wife regarding Tim Heidecker, because he's like from Tim and Eric to like his music, like everything that he does, and I'm just like he's like a good. If I could just like choose an artistic career to kind of like, if I could make a wish and have a similar type of thing, it would be because there's longevity, there's new stuff, kind of staying himself but doing different new things throughout.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I see that.
Well, we're over an hour, and I feel like I could keep going. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but do you have a few more minutes?
Sure, that's fine. The ground hum on this mic has gone away, by the way, to just like add to the mystery.
Weird. So maybe something warmed up. So maybe it's not ground hum. Who knows? Do you mind if I pause really quick though and go pee?
No, that sounds great. I'll grab a glass of water while we're doing that.
Okay, perfect.
Let's take a quick break to check out the Novation circuit tracks and how to build your own synth voices with Novation's components software.
So if I'm being honest, when I first got the circuit tracks, I was a little disappointed with how little I could edit the synth voices. I really only had access to the frequency, the oscillator, some oscillator modulation, amp envelope, filter frequency, resonance, modulation, and an effects source. But I really had no reason to be disappointed. So you hook your circuit tracks up to your computer, and now we have all of this control here. You can see there are 3 different pages, which we will get to, but let's just start with our oscillators. I really like this voice. And you might be thinking, oh, that's not all that interesting sounding. Sounds just like a little sine. But start moving that index around. Get some pretty cool sounds. Let's now go to our modulation page. This is where things get really cool. Down here you can see we've got our sources we can choose from, and then the destination. So let's just pick really quick the LFO. I want to do that in bipolar voltage, and let's go to oscillator 1. Try the pulse width out, and then put our depth in. Okay, that's cool, but a little too fast. So let's go back to our main page, go down to our LFO. So look at all these wave shapes we got. Let's try one of these sequences, but put some slew on it. And bring that rate down. Let's see what we can modulate on the second oscillator. And let's use LFO 2 bipolar. Let's go to oscillator 2 V-sync and see what happens. Now we're gonna go down to LFO 2. Find a cooler wave shape. Let's do a sample and hold. Put some slew on it. Cool. I like this so far. So you can see we have all these macro knobs at the top. There are 8 of them. So if we go back to our modulation page, we can see select macro. Macro 1, no destination. Well, let's change that. I assigned it to the pulse width index of oscillator 1, and let's see what that does. So let's now choose macro 2. Let's do oscillator 2. Let's do the same thing. Pulse width index. So now I've got the macro 1 set up to mess with the pulse width index of oscillator 1, but as you can see, LFO 1 is also controlling that. But I like that because you have that change occurring, but I can speed it up or move it in different directions, but it's still slowly moving around because of the LFO. So I think that's pretty groovy. And now we'll go to macro 2, which once again on the pulse width index of oscillator 2. That's okay. Let's try to put that somewhere else. Let's do oscillator 2's V sync depth. Let's see what that does. Oh yeah. That's fun. Let's turn the depth down on that though, so it's not as dramatic. Let's go check out the effects now.
Okay, great. The next part of this video will be in the next episode. Let's get back into our chat with Jonathan.
Yeah, so when you guys played Seattle last, God, it still bums me out. It breaks my heart to tell the story. But I'm actually here in the studio, and, I really taken, since getting into magic and not really doing the podcast for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I had no real reason to be on Instagram or anything. So I was just like, which I was happy to just kind of get out of the online world. So I would never really check my messages, but I checked my messages one day and I got a message from Flieger being like, hey, here with clipping, if you want to come up to the show tonight and hang out.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck yeah. So I called my wife. I'm like, hey, do you mind if I go up there? And yeah, of course. And get back to him. He's like, oh, we're in Portland. That was last night. I was like, oh, motherfucker. Bummed me out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we're coming back. We'll be back in Seattle in February.
So
sweet. Definitely
okay.
Hit me up if I forget to reach out.
Okay. Yeah.
Very welcome.
Going to India in January, like late Jan. I should be back. I should be back.
What's the
my friends are getting married.
Amazing. Wow,
yeah, so
cool.
we get to go to a real Indian wedding, which are no joke.
What an experience.
Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah.
One of my former students just got married in Egypt and invited me, and I was just like, oh man. That's so tempting.
yeah, right. Okay, one last question, because what was the filter on why am I? It's the third track, like the one on the new record. I don't
remember what order they're on. Is it Run It?
Not,
is that third?
Run It. Yeah, like the kind of like, I think it's the thing that made me think kind of Crystal Method, like the super like resonant, almost formant, and it almost feels like it's like you've seamed two different filters together for different parts of it, or
like on the sort of 303 kind of sound.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering if it was a 303 with a voice.
Yeah, so the 303 is the I don't have a real one. I have it is a real one, but I have the resynthesis one. And so that's that. And then most of the 303 sounds on the record are malted out from that through then a variety of different processing chains that are mixed together, and then you can emphasize different parts of it. So there's like,
I was wondering if that's what you did. Yeah,
an analog overdrive. I probably Culture Vulture, or it might have been Boom.
Okay,
the auto Boom. My favorite thing to do with a 303 is to run it through a frequency shifter.
Okay. All right.
And I'm lucky enough to have one of the ModCan like 5U analog frequency shifters, and that thing just sounds like butter on a 303. It's crazy sounding.
Okay.
That, and then Auto Biscuit also to do the 8-bit stuff, to do the sample rate reduction crunch stuff that also just makes the 303 just sound like it's talking,
Yeah. It was like it was like kind of like on theme with everything we're talking about today, like a classic sound, but also like a new fresh production of it, Like,
it's funny because the 303 sounds on all the new tracks and some of the old ones when we play live are one of the things that are live. They're tweaked, that are not like playback. But for weight and size and reliability concerns, I'm using oh God, what is even the name of the company? That ABL3 plugin. It's like it's like an old 303 clone plugin that I still think sounds pretty much the best of the ones I've heard. And then I bought the Auto Biscuit plugin as well to run it through
nice.
to like try to get pretty close. That plugin sounds great. I don't think if I didn't have the Biscuit, I don't think I would like try to track the hardware unit down. Now that I've heard that plugin, it's pretty amazing sounding. It's one of my favorite hardware boxes, though. That Biscuit is like really cool.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that because
they're stupid expensive now. Unfortunately, right. I got it. I was like back in the earlier days of my career where I was doing a lot of sound design for other composers. This composer that I worked with a bunch was like. He was like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get this really big video game and I want to it's going to be an orchestra, but I want the synths and potentially process of the orchestra to just have the coolest, gnarliest 8-bit crunch to them. He's like, what would you use? Like, try to like, just put that in your brain. And so I went to it was Big City Music, I think in LA, that I went to because they had the Biscuit in stock and I just wanted to hear it and just decide whether or not I wanted to use it. And I was playing with it. And I was like, holy shit, this thing is like really does things that nothing else does. It sounds really incredible. And the guy was like, well, it's my last one in stock. And I was like, well, I'll just fucking buy it and I can return it if the game doesn't happen or something. And then I bought it and was playing with it and the game never happened, but it's become like such a staple in the studio. Of course, you know.
Yeah, I've had a few issues like that, or a few things work out like that. So, and then, to end, I have some gear plugin recommendations that I think that you would enjoy if you have not heard or messed with them. I would really love to hear what you could do with some of the Madrona Labs stuff, specifically the Kaivo.
I love it. I have all of them.
Okay.
I use
cool.
them. I use them all the time. I don't use, honestly, that's stuff that I love that I don't use as much as I feel like I should, quote unquote. I just did like a short film score where I used Sumu a lot. Sumu
is crazy. It is insane. Yeah.
I use the Alto Verb live in clipping.
Yeah, I use Alto Verb all the time. Mm-hmm.
It's my favorite reverb to turn the knobs on in real time, you know?
Totally. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a good way to describe it.
The one that I don't use almost ever is Alto, actually. Like I
don't gravitate towards that one like I do.
I don't have a lot of like Buchla-y, West Coasty like analog stuff, but I have this giant wall of analog synths right next to me. So virtual analog stuff, even when it's amazing, like doesn't really.
I think that's why I don't really either, because I have modular stuff and
yeah. You know, I actually run it, the clipping track. I think I replaced it with modular, but the original, like a lot of the original synth sounds were Alto on that one.
Okay,
the original
cool.
demo that I made in the studio, it was a lot of Alto and drum samples and stuff. But
I honestly didn't think I was gonna like introduce you to something new on that one, but I just thought, just in case Jonathan hasn't like messed with this stuff.
No, that's one of those companies that I'm just like, I have so much admiration and respect for.
Yeah, Brandy is
the sort of uniqueness.
Mine, yeah.
I did an interview for their website actually.
Cool. Right on.
I was on their like blog. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I did.
He's a really good guy. He's really sweet.
Yeah, he's. We became good buds, and then I did a whole video, like basically did the whole manual for Kaivo. In a video series for him on their website. Yeah, so that was really fun. Great way to get to learn something. What's funny,
Kaivo... Oh, totally. Kaivo and Verta came out at a time, and I bought them immediately, like pre-ordered them, you know, like was very excited about them. But they came out at a time when I did not possess a computer that was capable of running them, really.
Yeah, that would be an issue.
And that has changed. And so I've been using them a little more, but they're still not like front and center of my arsenal. You know, I've reached I actually use very few um, virtual instruments.
Same
Synths, I
here.
should say, virtual
Yeah.
synths. I use a lot of samplers,
Yeah.
and it's mostly like in the computer. It's mostly samplers, and then synth sounds are coming from hardware almost
Yeah.
always.
Yeah. That's kind of how I've been going as well. But those are kind of the ones that I'm always like, don't forget on your computer, you have these amazing tools. And then the
That are
final
totally
one,
unique.
it's
Yeah.
totally,
Sorry, go ahead.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And like if you start feeding it your own stuff, they become like, it's even more unique or whatever.
Totally.
And the color box from JHS, it's a preamp with like the six. It's like basically tried to design, not a Neve, but there's some specific old, rack preamp that had a really cool overdrive. So, and then it's got a 3-band EQ and like an optional
This
filter.
one I've never seen.
Dude, you want the craziest, heaviest distortion? I mean, like it's
Really?
it's for everywhere from like great, just warm preamp sounds to fucking as crunchy as you can get. Like, I think it's right up your alley.
I wish it was stereo.
I'm
looking at it now.
Has an XLR. I think the XLR ins and outs will allow for stereo, but
Wait, really?
I think there's a way to get. I think so, but you don't get stereo control, but you can still. I'm pretty sure pass stereo.
No, that's fine. I mean, I just always need like anything in my studio that's mono gets 2 passes and hard pan practically always, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so I'm always looking for like I'll read this later. Sorry, you
I think
told me a piece of
you'll
gear
really
I don't know. And well, what's funny is now I've been doing more and more film re-recording and mixing work, and so I'm starting to think less in stereo and more in mono versus surround. But when I'm in the sort of music world, any effect that I have that's mono that I love, I'm basically double tracking and hard panning always.
Yeah.
My modular is set up. I like years ago I decided to just duplicate almost every module on sort of 2 rows, like so that I could do stereo sounds without double tracking them.
Okay.
So I have like 2 of every filter, and that's been really useful in a variety of ways. But I'm always like a little bummed when I get a new synth and it's mono, or like I get an effect that really would benefit from having a full stereo signal run through it is mono,
I'm
like a delay.
95% sure that it
that's
can
cool.
do
Okay,
stereo with the XLRs.
I'll look into it. Or like a mono in stereo out. Like I love the herb verb so much, and I would just love it to be true stereo. That would be so great.
Totally.
There's
a lot of Eurorack stuff that will do that.
More and more. Yeah, it's cool. And more and more, I'm also like kind of getting over myself and just letting stuff be mono more and more too. Something nice about that. I think it's part of the like move, like thinking more about field recording in like a film post-production environment where like stereo recording actually just doesn't make any sense. Cause like, what do you do with it? Like, what do you do with a stereo sound in a film? Do you put it in the left, right, and then you have nothing in the surrounds? And then what goes in the center? Do you duplicate it and put both in? Then you like have then you've just doubled up the sound and it doesn't actually feel wide. Do you like cut your ambience in half and like put the first half in the front and the second half in the rear, but then you've like doubled the number of birds in your field recording or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And like, so stereo recording is like not that awesome for film, actually.
That makes me feel better, because I've been trying to do like stereo recordings for like field recordings, and it is very hard to mix spatially and make it sound like,
Totally. Mono mono like spot and like a lot of stereo mic configurations too for like recording like sound effects or something. Oh, this terrible cat, stop it, come here. You know, like a lot, like if you're recording sound effects and you're trying to record them in stereo, like a lot of stereo mic configurations, the mic isn't actually pointing at the thing you're recording, right? You're getting width, but you're not getting any like on axis like clarity, right? In XY configuration, neither mic is pointed at the thing. In Aura
Right.
TF, definitely neither mic is pointed at the thing in the center, right? Mid side works well, right?
Yeah.
For both like mono, you know, and width. But for ambience recording, like I wouldn't really record an ambience in just mono and expect that to become anything either. So stereo, even in film, is better. Can be better for that, and can be, there's a lot of really cool like upscaling, like upmixing tools. But I'm more and more, my field recording is almost entirely in double mid side now.
Okay.
So front facing cardioid, rear facing cardioid, and figure eight in the middle.
Okay.
That can be decoded into a variety of like stereo and surround formats, and you can like change the width later and things
I'm
like
gonna
that.
have to pick your brain on some stuff and give you kind of this is what I'm trying to do and what I want to do. What do I need? But I'm just like kind of a nerd for old and weird mics as well. So
sure, yeah.
So I'll do field recordings with like 5 different mics, but some of them are like old, like realistic, stereo quality, stuff
That's
like
a
that.
thing. That is a thing that is not very prevalent in the field recording community. Like the field recording community,
I would
is
imagine
really about fidelity and like
I've
clarity.
I tend to lean into my limitations, only because they are just that. Like it's a financial limitation for me to get like what I really would love to have for field recording.
It's been a dream of mine, and well, a dream. It's not a dream. It's been a scheme or an idea of mine, because a thing that I don't do is I don't make sound libraries or like field recording
I haven't really done much with anything I've recorded, but I just like
and I should, and I could, and I but the market is pretty oversaturated right now with people doing sound effects libraries, like commercial sound effects libraries. And so it's again, it's like about finding ideas that I feel like are places where there's something missing, not necessarily like a need or like a market even, but just like, well, I haven't seen this before, so we don't.
I've got so many things I want to tell you I want to do, but it'll be a whole other conversation.
But that's a thing that I think could actually be really popular, is like sound libraries of all the normal stuff, of all the like usual film production stuff, but recorded with very like specific vintage equipment. It's like, I am going to take out like a Shure or a Sennheiser like shotgun mic, or an EV shotgun mic from the 60s, and a Nagra from the 60s, and we're going to do 60s era recordings of these things in mono on tape and release that as a contemporary sound library. Now I don't think anyone's really doing that.
Yeah, I did something kind of using that, and I used the JHS coloring box as well. So I went out on a couple. I found solo camping a couple of years ago, and I just love it, and just try to go out and find sounds. And I went out one night, and these coyotes were going nuts, and I got an excellent. I was there; they were going off all night, and unfortunately, I had some weird power things, so the recording got pretty fucked up. Like there was this terrible noise going through it. So I was like, okay, well, I'll lean into that. And then I got asked to make a track for a compilation album for what happened in Asheville with the
flood,
storm and flooding and stuff. And so I actually took the recording, put it on reel to reel, then ran the reel to reel into that JHS and into mine. And then processed it through Kaivo a little bit too.
Oh, cool.
So, and then I found like what the coyotes were like in key with, I forgot what the note was, so I just played like a low sine on it, and it's hard to tell when it's actually a coyote and when it's like the synth, but it's like a wall of noise kind of thing.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I've been getting into like doing kind of weird reamping, or
Are you on the field recording Slack? Do you
no,
know about the field recording Slack?
I don't.
Oh.
I don't know anything about. I just get stuff and go fuck around. I talk with Flieger every once in a while about stuff.
You should be on the field recording Slack. It's the only like internet community I hang out in. Honestly.
Okay, I've never done Slack, but maybe I'll join for this.
It's basically all I use Slack for.
Okay.
I mean, I have it for my work at UCLA too, but like, it's unessential for that. And really, all I actually do is use. Stop doing that.
Okay.
Is I hang out in this field recording community, and it's like, it's a lot of really good people on there.
Okay. Cool.
Like people from Skywalker and like people working on big movies, but also then like Thomas Rex Beverly, who does really incredible nature recording libraries, and George Vlad, who will be like, here's my, I just spent 3 weeks in Madagascar recording humpback whales with hydrophones, and like, here's,
I just broke my hydrophone a little bit ago, but I've been.
Have you made do you know about the Gladys hydrophone, the DIY one?
No.
Oh, that's
I'll have to, Gladys. Okay, I'm looking at it.
Yeah, Gladys, like the woman's name, Gladys.
Okay.
It's, I don't know which hydrophone you had, but these hydrophones, the tricky part is the resin casting for the body. That's the part that I have trouble with, but my wife is an expert fabricator.
Nice.
So
okay.
she does that part. But I've made a bunch of them at this point. It's about like $60 in parts.
Okay. Yeah, because mine was like $200 or something. So.
Yeah, it like crazily outperforms any commercial hydrophone I've heard.
Really?
Except maybe I've heard some examples of like the DPA one that they don't make anymore. That sounds pretty great. But like,
okay,
these things
are
amazing. And like I'm doing like 192 kilohertz recordings with them. I don't know actually where the frequency range stops on them. Like I'm getting really, really high frequency stuff.
Whoa. Wow. That's crazy.
You can pitch shift it down 4 octaves or whatever.
That's something I was thinking about doing as well. But yeah, I might send you some pics of some stuff that I've got with some ideas that I'm working on, and just love to hear your thoughts on it.
I'll send you an invite link to the Slack. And
yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and joining me again. I wanted to chat with somebody that, I've already chatted with and have had a little rapport with coming back into it,
Oh, man.
But
no, absolute pleasure anytime. And,
yeah,
hopefully we'll meet in reality at some point.
Yeah, yeah. I look forward to that.
Cool.
Thanks again.
All right.
All right, that's our show. Thank you so much to Jonathan for coming back. Don't forget to check out Dead Channel Sky, the new album by Clipping. Link in the show notes. Also down there in the show notes are links to the Novation Circuit tracks and Launch Key 49, as well as the Patreon. Until next week. Oh, you thought I was going to forget the secret word, didn't you? I don't know what a good secret word would be. Baculum. Sound off in the comments if you know what that is. Until next week.